Leo, something is shifting around you. You've felt it. That quiet sense that something's not quite what it seems, that something just outside your line of sight is about to come into full focus. And not just any shift. A cosmic one. A truth that's been buried is stirring beneath the surface, and believe it or not, it's coming up right around your home, your space, your life. I'm going to say this clearly, you're not under investigation. But something near you is. And the forces that are watching energetically, karmically, even literally are closing in for a reason. Not to accuse you, but to reveal what's real. To correct what's been distorted. And to remind you who you've always been. Leo, you were never meant to stay quiet. You weren't designed to shrink into the background or hold your light just to keep the peace. You were made to take up space, not with noise, but with truth. With presence. With inner authority. And sometimes, the universe sends undeniable signs to bring that back to your awareness. If you've been sensing tension in your relationships, unexpected energy around your home, or legal or emotional matters starting to stir up again, that's not paranoia. That's spiritual timing. That's divine alignment. And the fact that you're here, watching this, right now, that's not a fluke. That's proof you're tuned in. You see, this isn't just a prediction. This is a map. A map back to your center. Back to your discernment. Back to that deep, royal knowing inside you that sees through charm, false promises, and surface-level peacekeeping. You're not here because something is wrong. You're here because something is finally being made right. The truth is coming. It might arrive quietly. It might roar. But it's coming, and you don't have to chase it. You just need to stay grounded. Keep watching. Stay clear. Because when it all unravels, and it will, you'll already be standing in alignment, not confusion. Let me be real with you. I've seen people get drained trying to explain themselves to those who've already made up their minds. I've seen kind, loyal hearts walk away bruised, blamed for the exact chaos they tried to prevent. Maybe that's been you. Maybe you're carrying the weight of holding it all together while pretending nothing's wrong. But not anymore. This is the moment you stop doubting what you feel and start trusting what you know. You don't owe anyone a performance. You don't owe anyone your silence. You owe yourself peace. And peace doesn't require proof, it requires presence. So if something about this message touches a nerve, if you've been waiting for a sign to trust your gut again, let this be it. Let this video be your reset. Your mirror. Your invitation to stop shrinking and start standing. Comment below and simply write, I feel the shift. I claim the truth. That one sentence might be more powerful than you know. Before we go deeper, let me just say this, thank you. Thank you for being here, for listening with your whole heart, for showing up as you are. Every like, every share, every comment, yes, even this moment right now is part of what fuels this sacred space we're building together in eternal mindfulness. And believe me, Leo, you'll want to stay until the very end of this message. Because what the universe is about to show you, it's going to change everything. Ready? Let's begin. Leo, you've always had a certain kind of presence that can't be faked or forced. When you walk into a room, even in silence, something shifts. People feel it. Truth responds to it. That's not ego, it's alignment. And now, something about that truth you carry is making the energy around you tremble a little. You can feel it, can't you? The tension. The quiet unraveling. Like the world around you is being reordered, one secret at a time. There's been a lot of talk lately about being watched or under investigation, and while that can sound scary at first, what's happening now around your life isn't about punishment, it's about purification. Think of it this way, not all investigations are attacks. Some are inspections. Cosmic audits. A sacred cross-examination of the energy people carry, the intentions they hide, and the words they once used to manipulate, distract, or cover up. And while it may feel like the spotlight is getting uncomfortably bright, you're not the one being exposed. You're the one being revealed for what you truly are, consistent, courageous, clear. When Saturn gets involved, it doesn't play games. It brings structure, integrity, and karma. And Pluto? That's the master of exposing what's been festering beneath the surface. Together, they often show up when it's time to clean house energetically, emotionally, and spiritually. Not as a curse, but as a clearing. And sometimes, the people around you begin to shift not because you changed, but because your energy no longer allows for pretense. That's what's happening now. The energy doesn't lie. People do. But not for long. You might have been through situations where you knew something was off, but no one else saw it. Maybe you noticed the lies before they slipped out of someone's mouth. Maybe you felt betrayed, judged, or even gaslit. You tried to speak up, but you were called dramatic, too emotional, too much. So you stayed quiet, thinking silence would keep the peace. But what you were really doing was holding back a truth that needed space to rise. And now, it is. This isn't justice with flashing lights or courtroom drama. This is divine equilibrium working silently behind the scenes, using your energy as a mirror that can no longer be ignored. The tarot confirms this moment for you. The Justice card reminds us that truth doesn't need to scream to be heard. It just needs to exist. The Tower shows up when false structures collapse quickly, shockingly, and irreversibly. And the Sun? That's you. Unapologetically radiant. Not needing approval, only clarity. This trio tells the story of your life right now. What was hidden will be revealed. What was falsely built will crumble. And you will still be standing, not because you fought, but because you stood in what was real. We live in a world that often mistakes loud for strong and performance for authenticity. But Leo, your greatest power lies in your consistency. In your heart. In your decision to rise with dignity instead of react with drama. That's what separates you. That's what turns you from victim to witness. From the one who was questioned to the one whose presence becomes the question itself. And maybe that's why you're here now. Maybe something in your world is shifting, and you don't need more advice, you just need someone to confirm what your intuition already knows. That what's falling apart around you is not your fault. It's alignment. It's energy correcting itself. And you're not just watching it happen, you're the reason it's happening. If this resonates, if it touches a place inside you that's been quietly holding its breath, take a moment to acknowledge it. Leave a comment below and say, I feel the shift. I know the truth is rising. Because the more you affirm it, the more that truth finds its voice and the more peace you invite back into your life, on your terms. Leo, there's something we don't often talk about when we speak of legacy. People think it's about inheritance, money, fame, the family name, but in reality, what gets passed down isn't just material. It's emotional. It's energetic. It's silent expectations and unspoken fears. And if you've ever felt this invisible pressure on your shoulders, like you're carrying something that doesn't fully belong to you, there's a reason for that. Many Leos walk through life not just with the fire to succeed, but with the weight of having to succeed for someone else. Maybe you had a parent who never got the chance to shine. Maybe you carry the echoes of a family dream that crumbled. And somehow, without ever saying it out loud, you became the one who was expected to fix it. To fulfill what others couldn't. To bring pride where there was disappointment. So you work hard, you show up, you push forward, even when you're tired, not just for yourself, but for the memory of someone else's missed moment. That's not failure. That's devotion. But it's also heavy. This is what we call emotional inheritance. It's not in your DNA. It's in your energy field. And astrology gives us a way to understand it. When we look at the current nodal accessories and librates asking something very personal of you. To shift from being the peacekeeper to becoming the truth speaker. To stop performing harmony and start embodying authenticity. For Leo, who often becomes the center that holds everything together, this can feel scary. Because if you let go of the image, what will happen to the people who depend on it? If you drop the role, will everything fall apart? But here's the truth. What's real will remain. What was built on obligation will dissolve. And you're not betraying anyone by stepping into your own light. In fact, you're honoring them. Because when you let go of burdens that were never yours to begin with, you also release your ancestors from the stories they couldn't rewrite. You end a loop that's been playing for generations. That is healing. That is leadership. In numerology, this chapter is represented by the number 8. The number of karma, of balance, of completion. It's the infinity loop, the end and the beginning braided into one. The moment you decide to say, "This ends with me," is the moment you create space for something new to begin. And even the colors that support you now: golden yellow for confidence, earth orange for grounding, ruby red for courage, are tools in your energetic toolbox. These are not trends. They are frequencies. Use them consciously. Wear them. Surround yourself with them. Let them speak to your nervous system when words cannot. So if you've been feeling tired lately, deeply tired, like your soul is weary, it may not be from the things you've done, but from what you've been unconsciously carrying. And if that's the case, this moment, this message, is your permission to finally put it down. Write it down in the comments if this speaks to you. Just say, "I release what was never mine." It may sound simple, but these words do something powerful. They open a door. They tell your body, your heart, and your lineage, it's safe to stop performing. It's time to start living. You don't need to earn the right to rest. You already have it. You don't need to prove you're enough. You already are. And you were never meant to carry all of this alone. You were meant to rise with grace, not grit. With your own crown. Not one passed down to you out of duty, but one you choose to wear because it reflects who you truly are. Sometimes, things don't fall apart because they're broken, they fall apart because they were never built on truth to begin with. And when that happens, it's not a punishment. It's a clearing. A recalibration. A necessary crack in the old container so something more honest can begin to shine through. Leo, you know this feeling. You've seen situations where you didn't have to expose anything because the truth eventually revealed itself. You didn't force it. You didn't chase it. You just stayed rooted in who you are. That's the magic of your presence. It doesn't destroy. It illuminates. There's a phrase I often come back to: a lamp must sometimes shatter for the light to finally be free. Not every collapse is a tragedy. Some are initiations. A sacred kind of combustion where illusion burns away, and what remains is clarity. That's the energy we're stepping into now. And you, Leo, are right at the heart of it, not as the one being pulled apart, but as the one who stands steady while everything false begins to unravel around you. Right now, in the sky, Vesta is burning in your sign. Vesta is not loud. She doesn't seek recognition. She holds the sacred flame, the quiet, unwavering fire of devotion to what is real. And while Vesta stands steady in Leo, Neptune is dissolving illusions in Aries. Together, these energies create a tension between truth and fantasy. Not to punish, but to purify. When Neptune unravels the veil, Vesta holds the light steady. When lies melt away, your energy becomes the new center. That's why your stillness matters right now. It's not passive. It's powerful. You don't need to rush in and explain yourself to those who never wanted to hear you in the first place. You don't need to engage in battles where the goal was never clarity, only chaos. Instead, this moment is asking you to stay aligned. Let the illusions fall. Let the truth do its own work. You've already done yours by being real. And in a world that's obsessed with performance, being real is a quiet revolution. This is also a time to anchor that inner clarity into your physical space. Your home, your body, your environment. Energy moves faster when it has room to breathe. So light a white candle. Burn sage or Palo Santo if that's your thing. Sprinkle a little sea salt in the corners of your space. Open the windows even for 5 minutes. Let the breeze carry out what doesn't belong. Let sunlight touch the things you've ignored. Small acts, yes, but they're signals. Signals to the universe that you're ready to live with less noise, less clutter, and more truth. When things begin to shift around you, and they will, you don't need to panic. What's breaking is not your foundation. It's the pieces that were never aligned to begin with. And while that might feel disruptive at first, remember, this is not destruction. This is deliverance. You're not watching something fall apart. You're watching clarity take root. You don't need to yell to be heard. You don't need to prove what you already know. Just keep showing up with your light intact. Keep walking with integrity. That's the declaration. That's your message. You are not here to convince. You're here to embody. And if you've been waiting for a sign that it's okay to let go of the old, this is it. If this resonates with you, write it below. I don't chase the truth, I become it. Let that be your reminder. Your reset. The old structure wasn't strong enough to hold your light. That's why it cracked. Not because you failed, but because you outgrew it. Now is your time to live the kind of truth that doesn't ask permission to shine. It simply does. There's a special kind of pressure that builds when you've spent most of your life being the strong one. The one who holds it together. The one who shines no matter what. And for many Leos, that role becomes so familiar, so tightly woven into identity, that you forget it's something you can step out of. The truth is, you've probably been living in what I call a golden cage, beautiful on the outside, deeply restricting on the inside. It's made of praise, expectations, high standards, and a whole lot of shoulds. You should be confident. You should succeed. You should always be on. But who gets to see you when you're not? There's nothing wrong with being a leader. But when leadership becomes performance, when you feel like you have to keep showing up with a smile even when your soul is tired, something gets lost. That something is authenticity. Not because you've been fake, but because the space hasn't felt safe enough to be raw. To stumble. To not know. To rest. Astrologically, Jupiter squaring your sun right now is asking for a shift. It's saying, stop trying to be everything, and start being honest. Jupiter in Gemini wants flexibility, dialogue, curiosity. It's not about knowing it all. It's about being open to learning, to shifting, to sharing what's real. And when that tension rubs up against Leo's fixed fire, its need to remain proud, dignified, unshaken, it can feel deeply uncomfortable. Like you're being asked to loosen your grip on the very things that once helped you survive. But here's the thing, your survival mode isn't meant to be your forever home. Let me share something with you. A few years ago, someone I knew, Leo to the core, lost a job they had given 2 decades of their life to. It wasn't just a job, it was their identity, their routine, their status. The loss knocked the wind out of them. And yet, in the stillness that followed, they remembered something quiet they had buried long ago. They once dreamed of opening a tiny creative cafe. No suits. No pressure. Just light, connection, art, and coffee. That dream had seemed silly in the face of responsibility, so it was shelved. But in the ashes of what they lost, the truth of what they wanted finally had space to breathe. They didn't just rebuild, they recreated. And the peace they found? It wasn't loud. It was quiet, like exhaling for the first time in years. That's what happens when you let go of the cage. You start to remember your own voice again. So here's something to reflect on. When was the last time you didn't feel like you had to hold it together? When did you last show up as you are, not as who you thought you had to be? Sometimes healing doesn't look like doing more. It looks like subtracting. Taking off layers of expectation. Turning inward. Choosing softness over control. It's lighting a candle in your space, not because it changes the world, but because it softens your own nervous system. It's taking B vitamins or magnesium not to be perfectly well, but because your body deserves support. It's doing Warrior 2 on the mat, not to be impressive, but to reconnect with the part of you that stands for something. And maybe most important, it's journaling with a question that strips it all down. What do I truly want, not what they expect me to want? This is not about abandoning your fire. It's about letting your fire warm you, not just light up others. You don't need to perform freedom. You just need to allow it. And if a part of you is whispering, but what if I disappoint them? Remember, the only person who truly has to live with your choices is you. You're not here to carry every weight. You're here to carry what's yours, and to let the rest go. Quietly. Boldly. As only Leo can. There comes a point in every Leo's life when you realize that you don't need to fight to be seen anymore. That the loudest person in the room isn't always the most powerful, and the deepest truth doesn't need a microphone, just presence. This is where your real crown begins to shine, not as a symbol of dominance, but as a quiet, undeniable light. You've spent so much of your life trying to hold things together, to protect others from falling apart, to be the strength in every room. But what if your greatest strength now is simply continuing to build your life, without asking for permission, validation, or applause? This chapter isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about no longer needing to prove anything at all. One of the most misunderstood things about Leo is this idea that you need the spotlight. But that's not it, not really. What you need, what your soul has always longed for, is alignment. Not fame. Integrity. Not being right. Being real. And when you're anchored in your truth, something powerful starts to happen. The people who lied can no longer hold their stories together. The situations that once felt stable start to show their cracks. You didn't do anything to cause it, you just stopped participating in the illusion. Your stillness became the mirror. I've seen this in clients again and again, those who carried betrayal silently, who watched people around them play games with truth, who held their dignity while their name was misused, misunderstood, or minimized. They didn't fight back. They didn't smear or retaliate. They just kept showing up with integrity. And then, almost suddenly, those false structures collapsed. The story changed. The silence spoke. And in the end, the truth had its own way of finding light. This is the spiritual weight of Leo in its most refined form. You don't need to roar to be the lion. You simply need to stand your ground while everything that is not rooted in truth begins to fall away. And yes, that can be hard. Yes, it can feel unfair. But the gift it gives you is something no crown can buy: peace. Peace because you are no longer defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Peace because you've stopped trying to force timing, outcomes, or clarity. Peace because you've learned that your life speaks louder than your words ever could. Astrologically, this is the moment when Saturn rewards consistency and Jupiter blesses inner freedom. Not for the most dramatic, but for the most honest. The universe isn't asking you to defeat your enemies. It's asking you to rise above the game altogether. To stop walking into battles you never agreed to fight. Because your legacy, Leo, won't be built on what you fought against but on what you created, nurtured, and held firm in the face of pressure to fold. So here's a truth to hold close: you're no longer on trial. You don't need to argue your side. You don't need to explain the past or unravel the lies. You just need to keep showing up with your head high and your energy clean. That is more than enough. That is leadership. That is royalty. If any part of this speaks to you, if you've ever held the truth in silence, not because you were weak, but because you were wise, leave it in the comments. I am the light. The truth speaks for me. Let those words root into your day, your choices, your posture. You are not here to win over doubters. You are here to shine for those who already know how to see. And most importantly, for yourself. You don't need to be louder. You just need to keep building. Quietly. Boldly. Unapologetically. Because that, Leo, is what a true king or queen of light does. You've made it to the end of this message, Leo, and I hope you can feel what's happening in your energy field right now. Something has shifted, not because you pushed harder, not because you proved yourself to anyone, but because you remembered who you are. This entire journey wasn't about finding your voice. You never lost it. It was about giving yourself permission to use it again, softly, clearly, with truth. The kind of truth that doesn't fight for space, it simply exists, like light spilling through a crack in the wall. Quiet. Undeniable. You're no longer trapped in someone else's narrative. You're no longer the one carrying weight that was never yours to bear. You're not performing strength, you're reliving it. And that's the difference. You don't have to be the loudest. You don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to explain. You just have to show up in your life with presence, with clarity, and with the trust that the universe is working in tandem with your energy. You're not being investigated. You're being revealed. You're being refined. And what's coming out of this process isn't a version of you that fits into someone else's box, it's the version that was meant to lead, to anchor, to liberate. Now, I want to leave you with a few questions, not as pressure, but as invitations. What would it feel like to finally stop asking for approval? What would your day look like if you no longer had to explain your value? Who could you become if you stopped dimming your light to make others feel comfortable? Let those questions sit with you. Let them stretch you. Because your answers won't just change your perspective, they'll change your path. This space we're creating together here on Eternal Mindfulness isn't about quick fixes or empty promises. It's about remembering. About healing. About returning to your center so that your life can finally expand in the direction of your soul, not your fears, not your roles, not your past. Just truth. Just light. Just you. So if something in this video resonated, if even one sentence spoke to a quiet place inside you, I invite you to anchor it. Leave a comment below and write, "My foundation is firm and I am free." Not just for me, not just for the community, but for yourself. That one sentence can be the moment your energy shifts from holding on to finally letting go. And if this message felt like the exact thing your spirit needed today, don't forget to like, share it with a fellow Leo who may be walking through a similar threshold, and subscribe to stay connected to this healing, growing space. Thank you truly for your presence, your openness, and your trust. Every time you choose to be here, you bring more light into a world that desperately needs it. You were never meant to be on trial. You were meant to be the truth the world can finally see. And now, you are. You're not alone. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. We are Eternal Mindfulness. And I'll see you in the next message.